Number 6. Always log your error in backtrace before re-raising the exception. So here's the thing. Oracle PL SQL offers this great function, DBMS utility format error backtrace, that will tell you the line number on which your error was raised. But if an error is raised and you handle it in your exception section and then you re-raise the exception, well, if you call backtrace after that re-raise, it traces back to the re-raise, not the original raise. So whenever you're logging the error, store the backtrace and then re-raise the exception. Let's take a look on Live SQL. This script generally introduces the viewer to the backtrace function and its functionality. What I'm going to do for the purposes of this one good to know is zoom all the way down to the bottom and examine statements 11 through 14. In statement 11, I create a procedure proc1 that raises no data found on the 5th line. It traps the exception, displays the backtrace, and then re-raises the exception. In statement 12, proc2 calls proc1 on line 5, and then on line 9 traps an exception coming out of proc1 and re-raises a different exception, value error. Statement 13, proc3 calls proc2, and in its exception section it traps any exception and displays the error backtrace at that point at the top level. Finally, in statement 14, I call proc3. Take a look at the output. So proc3 calls proc2, calls proc1, I run proc1. And then notice the first error backtrace shows me that the error was raised on line 5, the original error. But notice that when I call backtrace at the top level, it only traces back to line 9 in proc2 because of that new raise of value error. And that's the thing to remember. Always call backtrace before you re-raise an exception or raise a different exception unless you are in danger and reality of losing that original line number.